All right, everybody. Today, I've got somebody really, really special for you. And we are going to dive in and get dirty. Okay? So, here we go.
Welcome to the Cloud Code!
Hi, my name is Claude Racine. I am the host of the Claude Code, where I suffocate your bullshit and help you win at life. Today, I have a very special guest, Sneż Valjanovska. She's from Australia. Okay. And she is my coach. She's been my coach now for, I believe, like 7 months.
I think so. Yeah, we're about that.
Yeah. And we met through originally Wes.
Yeah, well, I ran into you at the summit. Like, I saw you there, and then, like, you started popping up more and more.
That's right.
And then I think, like, our paths aligned.
That's right.
Every single person that we were around,
Yep.
like, we're in the same space.
Yeah. And then I remember at, like, I think it was the last BK Live, and we talked afterwards at, like, the little VIP get-together, and she was helping me, like, with numbers for my business, which gives me anxiety. And then I remember you were like texting me or whatever after that. And one day I was literally feeling like life was ending. Mm-hmm. And Snež sends me a message and she said, "Hey, hope you're doing well." And I was like, "I'm actually not doing so well." And then that was it. She was like, "Well, don't you think you need someone to take care of you since you take care of everyone else and you're there for all your clients?" And I was like, you know what? That's a good point. So we're going to dive into Snež's story today. And if you don't follow her, I'm going to put her IG in the description.
Yep.
Link her podcast and all that. But let's dive into your story. So tell us a little bit about, where you're from, what your life has been like, how you got into fitness.
Sure. Okay. Well, I mean, it's a long story, but I'll try and, like, kind of make it shorter for you guys. I think I started like really young, wanting to be fit, I guess we'll call it that, or wanting to be stronger because I wanted to be like my brother. And so for my 13th birthday, I asked for a gym membership. And you weren't allowed to go to the gym when you were 13. I don't know if you are now, but I don't think back then you weren't. And I say back then, it's not like I'm old, but so much changed in such a short amount of time.
True.
And so you had to be with an adult to go to the gym. And so I would just lie and say, my brother's in the gym. They didn't actually get me a gym membership. I asked for money, and then I went and bought the gym membership. And so I would go in there, and I just remember my brother's routine. So I just did the same thing over and over, and then that got pretty boring pretty quick. But I knew that it was helpful for my soccer. So I played soccer. I wanted to be as good as I could be, right? So I started getting into, like, national teams and things like that, and it helped me substantially. But kind of going back a little bit, I was always into sports or something. I guess, like, that was just something that I really wanted to do. I wanted to do something with my body. Like, I was a very active kid. Like, kids are different now. Mm-hmm. But I was a very active kid, and I wanted to be outside. And now I'm from the capital of Australia, which is Canberra. Not many people know where that is because it's a tiny town between Melbourne and Sydney. It's right in the middle. And not a big population. There's like 400,000. But it's a very, very tiny town where it's like everybody lives in golden handcuffs and sleeps on a golden pillow. Everything's so easy. Complacency is, like, insane.
Wow.
Like, you don't have to try hard. Everything's 20 minutes away. You need something, you can go and get it. You get paid well. There's no effort.
Interesting.
No effort. So, you kind of feel like you're, like, lost while you're there. What I found was I don't want to be like everybody in this town. I wanted to be different. So I played soccer, but I always found like there was like a hole in my life, and I always found myself kind of like dipping. So, like, mentally, I was like really big on, like, quotes, right? And quotes, I was like, wow, like all these like wow factor people, they would say like the coolest shit. And I'm like, why am I in this tiny town? So I played soccer, and I found that for me, when I was playing, one thing I noticed that was when I ate well, I performed better. When I ate poorly, I performed poorly. And I started to kind of connect the dots. It wasn't very like long before I was like, this is something weird. But I also wanted my body to change. So I went through seasons where I wanted the gym to be better, but then I hated the gym. So then I was like, I don't want to go to the gym. I would lie and say like, oh, I can't go to the gym today because of whatever. Because we got into it at a point where we actually needed to go to the gym for soccer. So they started incorporating it into our training routine. Oh. I was like, oh, I can't make it today. I'm sick. Oh, I can't make it. Like I was one of those people, I guess. But I was also like 16 years old, whatever. And so when I was 18, I figured, I want a better body. And I think every 18-year-old wants a better body, right?
Yeah.
Because they're starting to think like that.
Yeah.
And so I started working in a supplement store. I got a guy to write out my nutrition, what it would look like. It was terrible. It goes against probably everything you go for.
Perfect.
Just terrible. Like the worst.
Examples. Like
he got me eating cottage cheese and boiled chicken, like together. That was one of my meals. And there was like no flavor, right? There's no flavor in cottage cheese and there's no flavor in but I was like, hey, this is what I'm meant to do. And then he's like, you can have like some boiled vegetables. So I was like, okay, just got like, it was terrible. But he's like, if you want a 6-pack, this is what it's going to take. I'm like, all right, I'm going to follow this plan. Anyways, got to the point like about 5 weeks in. And if I just smelt chicken, I was about to throw up.
Yeah.
It was so bad because I had it so often. Like I was having it like 3 times a day. Like that meal, like if it wasn't boiled chicken and cottage cheese, it was boiled chicken and boiled vegetables. And the vegetables was green beans, carrots, and peas. Like It's basically prison food.
Wow.
I think prison food is probably better. Anyway.
I think they get bread.
Yeah. Well, I did not get bread. So I stopped doing that and I started going, I need to dive into this. So then I started seeing a sports dietitian who I'm very grateful that I had access to. Now, small town, you can figure it out. You make the connections, She ended up being the dietitian for my team because then I turned pro. So I turned pro when I was 19.
Cool.
Started traveling around with the team, started traveling with to basically make myself the best professional athlete that I could be. So she helped me. So then I started to take a liking to nutrition and to the gym, and I went and got all the certifications or whatever. But then I decided to go to university, and she was my teacher. So I not only was one of her athletes, but then she taught me how to be basically everything that she is. And that helped me substantially. Now, I kept playing soccer and I kept on doing this. Now, I was one of those people that was like, I never get injured. This is the best thing ever. I'm like the athlete that doesn't get injured. And it's because I take care of my nutrition. I'm like the winner of the team. So I turn about 24 and it was a really, really rainy day. And I just so happened to forget my indoor cleats. You guys call it cleats, which is
what do you guys call it?
Boots.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So it's raining and I'm on the drive to the training fields and they go, hey, we're going to change the location. The fields are too wet. You need to go to the other field. I'm like, well, I don't have those because they don't have any studs on the bottom.
Oh. So
the ones on grass, you have studs on the bottom. The other ones, you don't have studs.
Got it.
And I didn't have them on me. I was like, well, I have to wear the other ones. So anyways,
no,
we're playing and we're doing like one of the drills that they had me do. And that just so happens to be, and she's still on the Australian national team today. She takes a shot and I put my foot out to block it and I block the shot. My ankle keeps going under. And because of the studs, I rolled it so bad that I completely destroyed my ankle. Now, the bad thing is that it was 10 days out from our next game. And if we won that game, we were going to the championships. So it was 2.5 weeks away from championships when this happened. And I was like, no. So I go home. I slept with my foot in the bucket, like in an ice bucket. I woke up the next day. I put my foot in a boot. I just self-did that. And then I just iced, and it was my whole ankle was turning purple. And so my coach was like, hey, just take 1 week off. You're going to have to miss a game. I was like, no, I don't want to miss a game. If I miss a game, what are the chances of you starting me for the championship if I miss a game?
Were you the goalie?
No, I was a defender.
Okay.
And so then the game goes on. My team wins, so we make it to the championship. And I am trying to practice. I went and tried to practice. So you can strap your ankle and make sure it doesn't fall off you, basically.
Oh, my God.
So I strap it, and then I double strap it, and then I triple strap it. I was like, I don't care what it's going to take. I'm playing this championship game.
Oh, my God.
So then we get to the championship, and we won. was like,
and you played?
I couldn't start it because I could barely run, but I went on second half and we won it. And I'm not joking. If you were to look at like my ankle, like I strapped it and it still was so fat that I couldn't tie my boots properly. So I was just like, whatever, I don't care. So all that to say, it led me to my first surgery, which they then got it wrong. They got my surgery wrong. They just scoped it and cleaned it. They were actually meant to repair it and give me a new ligament. They didn't do that. So I had issues for a couple of years with that. I was like, whatever. I just thought it was just a bad ankle at that point. Didn't know any differently because I was still so young. So then the next instance, I'm playing a game and I was playing against a really good friend of mine. And I went to cut across and take a shot at the goal. And she hit me from behind, which is not what you're meant to do. I think everyone knows that in soccer. Anyway, so
Red card.
Yeah. So six different injuries. I had fractured my patella. I had dislocated it. I had done this one little corner of the knee, which you don't want to touch, but I had actually ruptured that. I torn my ACL, MCL, PCL, and I was like done. And so at that point, you kind of find yourself going like, I felt, you hear it. So people in the stands will hear you tear your ACL. It sounds like a big elastic band just snapping. So it's not a good experience, and especially because you're there, you've never torn your ACL before, but you know you've torn your ACL. You're like, that's my ACL. Holy shit. That's 12 months of my life that I have to know.
God.
So that's how long it takes. Now you can do a little quicker. Now you could probably come back in 6 to 8, but it takes 12 full months for your body to accept. Let's say you're getting a graft. Your body has to accept something that's not yours. If you do use your own, it has to still accept that. So that kind of like, that was where I found myself mentally struggle. So my mentality after that was one of my best friends who knows how to play, I kind of just did something that was kind of shady. So I was having a hard time with that. And I found myself really have a hard time with, I can't do anything. I'm so used to doing things. I was working in gyms at this point. I was constantly working in different places. I was training all the time. I would train like 35 hours a week.
Jesus.
Right? Like for me, training 4 to 5 hours a day was normal, and going to school, like finishing my degree was normal, and like working was normal. Like I was like, 14-hour day, this is easy. Pull all of that aside and you have to sit down. I was like, dang. So I didn't do that anyway. I only took 3 days off. I went and did the surgery, took 3 days off, and they took my hamstring to use as a graft, because you can use your hamstring as a graft.
Okay.
And that's really hard, because then your hamstring's a little bit weird. Like it's a little deformed, I guess. So
I could see that.
Yeah. So then I was having a really hard time not being able to do things. So I tried to go back to work, and there's, you know how you can get DVT on the plane?
No.
Like deep vein thrombosis is where your calves like get really wide.
Yes.
Yeah. And so then you can create blood clots. You can die. So I'm about 5 days in from my surgery, and I go back to work because I'm like, no, I'm not going to not work. I'm on my feet for 14 hours, and my calf is like 2 times the size that it's meant to be. And so I call my sister. She's really great with all this stuff. And she's like, you need to elevate. If you don't elevate, you could potentially lose your leg. I need you to elevate your leg. And so I'm like laying down on the ground, elevating my leg, because my knee's blown up, my ankle's blown up. My whole leg was just 2 times the size. She goes, you're going to develop a blood clot. So I pull my leg up in between every single thing that I had to do. And then I try to drive home with my leg on the dash. And I just like, I can't live like this. And so you're constantly learning about these new potential problems that you're going to now face. And you're like, shit. And so I was down, and I was so sad. I was very depressed. And it took me a whole year. So I finally, at month number 12, I'm like, you know what? I need to go back. I need to go back to playing. I need to just get myself back. I know that if I go back, I'll find my happiness there. Because, you know, you forget about life when you're playing, right? It's kind of like probably when you forget about life when you're dancing.
Yeah. So
I go back to playing. First game, played, you know, I think it was like 40 minutes, and I felt great. This is awesome. Go to play the next game, and I'm, you know, at minute number 53, and I re-tear it. The exact same thing, re-tear it. But this time I did it on my own. I didn't do it through a hit, which was worse, because I'm like, holy shit, that's all it took. First time I was like one of 20% of people that do it. The second time I was like the other 80.
Jeez.
So this is how I viewed it, though. this is my second chance to not be such a shitty human.
Wow.
Like I was a shitty human. I was terrible to people. I was like, fuck you because you don't understand what I'm going through. Like I was that. I was like very victim-y. And I didn't know what that, like no one told me. I was just like, life sucks. You've taken away my ability.
Yep.
You know? And so I just decided like, this is my second chance to be optimistic, to be positive, to do it right. I go to the surgeon. Everyone got it wrong. Go to the surgeon. And he goes, it's my fault because I didn't give you a strong enough graft. I should have given you a strong enough graft. I shouldn't have used your hamstring. So he basically like gave me the surgery for free. I was like, this is a bonus.
Wow.
And he used someone else's Achilles tendon, which was better because it's stronger. It's like 2 times the thickness. It's super, super thick. So think of like a tendon being like the same, like your finger.
How do they find somebody who's like, here, have my Achilles?
Anyone that is like a donor of any part of their body.
Oh, like they died and then.
Yeah. So they've died.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
So they'll go and use cadavers. And so anyone that's like done that. So then I do that. And then 6 months in, or probably 3 months in, at that point I'd been traveling. I'd gone to so many different places in Australia. I'd come to the US to play soccer. I'd really lived it.
Yeah.
And so I'm like 25 and I'm like, is this it? Like, is this my life? Do a couple of surgeries. What is this life at this point, right? And so I'm kind of like at this point now where I'm going, there has to be more. There has to be more. So I'd met a lot of people. And the fortunate thing that I was like kind of found is I had the opportunity to play for teams over in the US.
Oh, cool.
Specifically in California. And so, and the people that I was playing for said, hey, like, we'd love for you to come out and spend like 3 months here or 4 months here, like, whatever. So, and I loved America. I loved the concept of people who worked hard, who there wasn't that much comfort. Like you had to create your comfort, you had to work hard for the comfort.
Yeah.
Whereas I'd go back there and it just felt like gloomy. Everything always just felt like sad to me. And so I had spiraled so many times through my career that I was like, maybe this is it. Maybe my career's over. Maybe I could transition into something else. And so I found a gym over in California that I was working for. And he's like, hey, I'll sponsor you to come in and work for me.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, sweet.
So for anybody that doesn't know, you're talking about like, so you could work here legally.
Yes.
So if you're an immigrant and you're coming here from another country, it helps a lot if somebody sponsors you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if you come over here illegally, it's just so much harder. It's hard either way, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's hard either way.
Yeah. It's the pits.
Yeah. So I make a decision about 3 months in and I was in a relationship at this point with someone from the States.
Oh.
So I was doing long distance. At this point, we're in it for 2.5 years. 3.5 years. We're in it. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, this is perfect. I have a job. I have a relationship. I can move my life. I can do this. Like, and it was scary. I was thinking about it for a long time, but I had hit that like enough is enough point.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I'm going to move my life over.
Wow.
So about 5 months in, 3 to 5 months in, I decided I'm going to quit my job, which was paying me a nice, like almost $90,000 as a trainer is amazing.
Okay.
At the time, I was a manager. I had everything. I had everything. I had like the luxuries, right? I didn't have to kind of like worry too much.
But it wasn't enough.
It was never enough. So I decided I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to also retire from my career. And that was hard because I'd been playing soccer for 20 years.
Wow.
7 of those years were professional. And I just decided, you know what, that's enough. So a week before I'm meant to fly out and leave, I get a call and it was my ex saying, I've been cheating on you for 6 months. I was like, what? I'm about to leave. I'm about to move my life. My bags are packed.
Oh my God. Your boyfriend that was here in the States.
No, it was my girlfriend at the time.
Your girlfriend that
My
was
very
here
first.
in the States.
Yeah.
That you were moving here for.
Yeah. Yeah. So she was the first girl that I ever dated or I ever saw because I've always been in like a relationship with a guy. So for the people that don't realize this, when you are in a relationship with a guy and then you're in a relationship with a girl, you have no idea how 2 girls and the emotions are just escalated.
Oh my, I can't imagine.
And in saying that, you know, she had a lot of influence, religious influence on her. In other words, people would come, family members would come and Bible thump her and basically tell her what she's doing is wrong, you know, and all this stuff. And I think that put a lot of stress because we had to hide it. This was at the point where people were hiding who they were with.
Yeah.
And we didn't understand it. I didn't understand it. I'd never been in a relationship with a female. Everyone, and when you're in a relationship with a guy, it's just like, oh, you're annoying me, and you just like kind of like just go away for a bit, and then but girls are like, why aren't you talking to me? I'm like, why are you talking to me? It's
explain yourself.
It's epic. So anyway, been cheating on me for 6 months, 3 different times. One of them was continuing to go, but I was like, do we still want to make this work? And I was like, so stupid at the time. I think at that point I was desperate. And the worst part is that my sister had a wedding like 2 days before I left, and I was the maid of honor. I was a maid of honor. So I'm miserable at this point, and I felt bad because I was like having a really hard time emotionally, and I had to hold myself together. I had to hold everything together. So then I did it anyway. I came over to the States with 2 suitcases, a bike, and I was so emotionally broken at that point. I'd done my surgeries. I had done my recovery. I thought, hey, if this is my second chance of being a better person, I've spent the last year or like trying to improve who I am. I'm trying to do this stuff. I've made a huge decision to move my life over. The relationship lasted another 4 weeks. And then
once you moved here.
Yep. Once I moved here, you know, she couldn't do it. The family impact on female.
Yeah.
It was too high. And it was just, and I understood that now. Like I got that. Like I didn't understand it at the time. Because I'm like, why would you let someone dictate your life? Like you're letting someone tell you who you're going to be with. Like doesn't the same, right? And so, you know, and I'm from a time where, and I guess a culture where, you know, your parents can even organize your relationships.
Wow.
Like we're talking like old school.
In Australia, they do that still?
Well, yeah, mostly because my background is European.
Oh, okay.
So in Australia, they don't do that. But I'll tell you now that in Europe, they're still doing it. Around the world, they're still doing it. They're telling you who you're going to be with and how it's going to be, what kind of house you're going to live in. They're still doing that shit. Wow. So, and this is the thing, my whole upbringing, I remember my parents saying like, okay, like we want you to find because I'm Macedonian. So I'm Macedonian and Australian.
Okay.
We want you to find a Macedonian boy. He needs to make this much money. We want you to move down the street. We want you to have 2 kids. I'm like, cool, I'm down. Like, let's do this. And I'm like, where is this guy? Where's the house?
Where is he?
We're looking. So, and that just doesn't happen, right? So I'm about a month in, and that was when I hit my 3rd point of my life. And this had happened when I was 18. It happened when I was 21, and then finally happened one more time. This was the final time when I was about 26, where I was so low in my you know how everything comes in 3s, right?
Oh yeah. Interesting.
The 3rd point is when I remember significantly, I guess I was disappointed by people in particular. And I'd done every single thing I possibly could to make people happy around me, to like really do everything I can for them. And I didn't realize how much it was taking away from me. So when I was really disappointed when I was 18, I tried to take my life. When I was really disappointed and I was down when I was 21, I tried to take my life. And then finally, when I was 26, I did it one more time in the States, which is the worst place to do that because they will just grab your visa and be like, get the
wow.
Yeah, they will do that. So, you know, I was on the phone to one of my friends back in Australia, and she basically helped me substantially. And then I remember that day being the day going, all right, that was it. That's it. I'm never turning back. And so I started seeing a therapist who just so happened to be in the building next to me. Saw him for 15 months. And it's crazy because people, if you looked at me back then, even photos, you'd be like, dang, this girl is strong. She's fit. She's an athlete. She has her shit together. Like, there's not a worry in the world. But people just carry it differently.
Yeah, well, I don't think that people who are truly depressed or truly suicidal walk around looking like that. You're trying to hide it.
Yep. You are.
You don't want anybody to find out that that's how you really feel.
Yeah. This is what pisses me off, and I have to say this, and I hope that resonates with some of your people. You know, don't go around saying, oh, that brings me anxiety. Oh, I'm so depressed. Like people are truly anxious and depressed and not saying it. And it's those who don't say it that are.
Yes.
So when I hear people like say that shit and throw that word around like it's like nothing, I'm like, if only you knew. Like if only you knew what it's like to have to put yourself in a corner in a dark room to feel safe. Like that's how I had to be. I was like, I have to just be as small as I could. I have to make sure that no one's going to touch me. Like I have to make sure. And if anyone does, I like will run the other way. Like that's what true depression.
Yes.
Depression is something that people throw around, and I never wanted to do the antidepressants. So I did everything I could to make myself better. But depression is very real, like for people. And what people don't realize is they're like, oh my gosh, that's so depressive. Like when they throw that out there, it's like, do you understand what you're doing to people? You're literally conditioning people to want to hide it more.
Yes.
This is why it's so important to say to someone, are you okay? Are you okay? Just those three words as a question. And when they say, and if you're genuine about it, you know, and I would love to raise awareness to this because like there is an organization called Are You Okay Day. And it's an organization that literally is trying to help people who are suicidal, people who are depressed, people who are really struggling mentally.
Yeah.
You know, so on the positive note, you know, I changed my life around, and every single day, all I cared about was putting my shoes on because it meant that I was going to go somewhere. And that was something my sister shared with me. She said, just put your shoes on and you'll be able to go wherever you need to go. And I'm like, cool, I'm moving forward. And that. So, you know, and I thought I was getting better, and then I lost my job. The guy screwed me over that I was coming over to the States for. And so I was like, dang, this is shit.
What else are we throwing at Snež?
Oh, there's so much. So much. So I'm like, I'm going back home. Right? Who wouldn't say that? Who wouldn't be like, I'm going back home? So I was like, I'm going to go back home. Everyone's like, no, stay there. I'm like, why would I stay in the marriage? Like, this place is shit.
Are you talking about like you had friends that were telling you to stay here in America?
I had friends in Australia telling me to stay.
Oh,
I didn't really have a lot of friends here.
Oh, you're Australian.
So my friends, yeah, because they're like, don't come back. You know that this isn't it for you. I'm like, all right, cool. Let me see what it's like then. So then I stayed and I did my yoga certification. I did my 200 hours and, you know, I got 4 jobs and I worked at all the places and I did all the things. And I just started to grow myself bit by bit. And I went on a journey to really understand who I am and what I'm all about. In that journey, though, I started to understand like, hey, like I can't work for people. I've tried to work for people and I keep outgrowing them. I got to stop doing that. So I started going, I think I'm meant to like own something. And then people said that they saw that in me too. They're like, you need to like, I don't know, own your own business or do something like where you're like the boss. I'm like, okay, cool. I can do that. What does that look like? I had no idea at the time. It's like, yeah, but my health isn't right. You know, I had so many at that point, my ankle was still bugging me from that first thing.
Oh my God.
My knee was still bugging me. My, you know, like I was just, my shoulder was still bugging me from like soccer. From like, I mean, think about it. 35 hours over years adds up to your body.
Yeah.
And you look at me now, you're like, you don't have an injury. I'm like, you know, I just take care of myself. So
you'd be squatting like 210, 220,
240,
240
about that
with 6 surgeries.
Yeah, on my knees.
On your knees only.
So then I go, why is
this
my
is
ankle?
why you're my coach, by the way.
Thank you. And so you know how like you just sometimes walking, sometimes you like roll your ankle. You're like, whoa, that's weird. Like imagine that happening all the time.
Yep.
So I'm like, there's something wrong with this. So I go and get checked. And they said the surgery that you had 5 years ago didn't work, did nothing for you. They basically just cleaned you out. And I was like, what? And the reason was because the soccer federation paid for it and they wanted the cheapest route. So they didn't actually repair it. So then I had to go and pay for it. So I had to get a full brand new ankle.
Wow.
Like they actually, like my ankle doesn't turn out the same way as my left one because they've put an internal brace in there that stops it from rolling. It's amazing. Yeah.
Wow.
It's really amazing.
Cool.
So that took forever. That one was a really hard surgery because then at the time, you know, I didn't realize also in America that you guys have so much GMO and bullshit food over here. I'm not gonna lie. It's better now. But at the time, you know how everything's just like the fastest, the easiest, the whatever, right? So I'd gained like 20 pounds.
Oh.
And like for me, 20 pounds is a lot because I do a lot of gymnastic style. Like I'll do a lot of pull-ups. I'll do a lot of single leg work, like squats. And I'll do a lot of like things that require me to be lighter.
Yeah.
So 20 extra pounds, I'm like, why am I struggling with pull-ups? I'm like, it's because I'm like almost 150 pounds, which I lived my life between 120 and 125. Like I lived majority of my life there. So to be 150, I'm like, what is going on? So I used that surgery as an opportunity to dive into my nutrition and actually better my health from that standpoint. I'd known enough by that point. So I lost 25 pounds.
Nice.
In like a very fast time. And then found that, as because my right ankle was like healing and it was getting better and I was starting to improve, and I was like, you know what, this is an opportunity for me to build my health back. And so I built my health back. I built everything back. I got a shoulder surgery, just a quick one, just to bring my clavicle down, because it was like basically touching, and that was from when I was younger. And so I was like, this is great, this is good timing, because then I can go back to Australia. I can apply for an entrepreneurial visa where I can open my own business. So then I did that. I spent a ton of money on lawyers and whatever people to help me to understand what I need to do.
Is that like 10 G's to do something like that?
For the lawyer alone was $25,000.
Oh my God.
For him to do that stuff. Another $5,000 for a business plan, and then another $200,000 to open a gym in the States, which is very difficult. So then I decided I'm going to open my own gym, and I was super fortunate at the time that I didn't have that kind of money. So I had investors. I had two investors. Someone invested into the lawyer side of things. The other investor did help me with like equipment, and the rebuild and the build out. Because I'm like, I've spent all my money on my surgeries. Like that's where my money went. And like relationships.
Yeah.
So at the time I was like, okay, this is my time. Like no relationships, no more surgeries, open this gym. So then I decided I'm going to open the gym. So then I got my entrepreneurial visa, came back to the States, and I opened my gym, which is called Osletics. It's in Brea, California. And we've been open now almost 6 years.
Nice.
And I opened that gym, and right as I opened, I had to get another scope of my left knee. So I opened my gym with my knee wrapped, doing upper body, because it wasn't right at the time. So if you did the calculations, there was 2 ankles at this point, 2 ACLs, so that's 4. Another my shoulder, that's 5, and my left knee, that's 6, right? So then at this point I've had all these surgeries in a very short amount of time. Like it's only been like probably 4 years over that time. So then I'm doing life. I'm like, this is great. All I need to do is show up at my gym for 17 hours a day, and I love it.
Jeez.
Basically, like there all day. And I didn't realize that this is not the dream that I thought that everyone talks about, because you're just busy all the time. You're just fatigued, and no one tells you that about business. So I had to learn all of the hard ways because no one helped me, and I didn't even seek it. I didn't ask for mentors. I didn't even know mentors existed.
Yeah.
Mentors wasn't a thing then.
Right.
Like I was like, what is with all these? And then finally I started to hire one company to help me and another company to help me. And then about, 4 years in, which was 2 years ago, I was riding my bike, and I wanted to do, a really nice long ride from Newport back to Orange County, like North Orange County. And I'm riding, and middle of the day, 12 o'clock. And all of a sudden I got hit and went flying.
Got hit by a car?
Yeah, I got hit by a car, went flying.
What?
This was the crazy part. The guy saw me, but I think he was playing with his phone. Like, because there was like, my handlebars went straight into the side of his car and dented his car. And I went flying. I was like, what the hell? And so I landed on my right side. So everything on my right side was an issue. So then that, unfortunately, for the following 2 years, I had to spend a lot of time getting PRPs, cortisones, trying to figure out why I'm getting so much pain in my right side and why it's just not subsiding and all these things. And then I ended up going and seeing another surgeon, and he's like, hey, like you've really kind of damaged a lot of your cartilage in your knee. And this is the good knee. So unfortunately I did everything I could not to have that surgery. I spent 2 years rehab, acupuncture, chiro, every single thing that's out there other than surgery. And it just wasn't working. For me, I like functionality. I want to be able to squat all the way down. I want to be able to jump, and I want to be able to run.
Yes.
And some people are okay with not being able to do that. I'm not. I want to be able to do life however I want it to look like.
Yes.
So then I got the surgery and I didn't realize how. And so he went in for a surgery. So this is now surgery number 7. It was a scope. And he goes, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try stem cell. Stem cells where they pull the stems out of your bone in your hip, in particular, because they were apparently healthier, and they'll inject it straight into your knee. So he did that. As he was doing the injection and he put it all out, I got out. I was barely awake, and he goes, hey, I'm going to have to see you back here as soon as possible. I'm like, wait, what? I'm like barely awake. I'm like, the anesthesia's wasn't even fully out of my system, because I was like, did I even talk to him? I don't remember the conversation. And then so I get in my car and I'm like, did they just say I have to come back? And so 4 weeks later, I go back in for the cartilage repair, which was a really long surgery. And I remember going into the surgery, go, how long is this going to take me to recover? Because that was always the question I asked everyone.
Right.
When can I go back to the gym? How long is it going to take? So sometimes they'll say, well, you're looking at about 6 months. Then the next one, well, you're looking at about 9 months. The next one, 12 months. He goes, 2 years.
Mm-mm. I
was like, no. And I'm now, this July will be 2 years. So I'm now, because like 2 years till I'm like 100% and some. So
okay.
I'm right there.
Woo.
And I'm right, and I'm really close to it now. Now I can, like I've told you, I've been running more, I'm jumping more, I'm lifting heavier. I'm really close to my numbers, but I'm just not quite there yet.
Yeah.
But I'm also older.
Also that.
So yeah, so those are all the surgeries that I had. Now I went to every surgery and I refused to not go back into the gym within 24 hours. So within 24 hours after every surgery, I went into the gym or I did something, because blood flow is one of the most incredible things that you can do for your body. And people like, the reason why you don't feel good and you feel like shit is because your blood's just stale. It's just staying in the same spot.
Yeah.
You create new blood, you move your blood. What's coming with it? Oxygen.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
All of the nutrients that you need to literally move from limb to limb, from organ to organ. People forget about this stuff.
Or they just don't know.
Yeah. So that's kind of like how I so then, going back, I've been in fitness. This is my 20th year in fitness. And this is my 17th year in nutrition.
Wow.
And so I've been doing that for a long time at this point. And here I am.
Awesome. And here you are.
Here I am.
And that is amazing.
Now I'm online.
Now you're online. Yes. So she can coach anyone around the world. Mm-hmm. Now tell us, like, who do you love to coach?
Okay. So I love coaching the person who is stagnant, plateauing, and finding themselves in a bit of a hole, right? Like there's cracks somewhere and they can't figure out what the cracks are.
Yeah.
I don't like working with beginners, because beginners are just not my vibe.
Yeah.
But I will tell you that the person that I like to work with is that person that's probably tried a lot of things and they worked at the start, but then they stopped working. Or maybe there's a missing element to them that they need to tap into, which honestly is surrounding self-control, resilience, and mental fortitude. So those are the people that I think I work best with, which I'm sure many of your viewers have seen the change in you in the last 7 months, 6 months.
Yeah, absolutely. I always thought I was doing things well, and I did. And like what I did for, let's say, 2 years with my first coach worked, and it got me to where I needed to go. And then I started plateauing, like Snež is talking about, and I started feeling not very challenged, and I started feeling stale and bored. And I just needed that next level. And you guys, like, when you hire a coach, make sure they have a coach. I really believe in that. Mm-hmm. It's not that I don't necessarily know what I'm doing, but there's always somebody that's better than you. And there's always somebody that can push you to your next level. So, you can't stay like this.
No.
You can for a bit, and then you're either going to start to die or you're going to grow. And I was starting to die a little bit. And that's when Snež came in and was like, what are you doing? And she still fixes my form on push-ups and stuff. And I'm like, damn it, I thought I was doing those so good. The fact that I'm doing them at all. Anyway, very good. And why I love bringing people on, you guys, is so that you hear their story of how they got to where they got, and how she got the mindset that she has, and how she's able to sit here and lead people to success in their health. It's all here. But I think all the shit that you went through and you never gave up. And then the fact that you were like, I'm going to take the second surgery and I'm going to use this as an opportunity to be a better person.
Mm-hmm.
That really stood out to me when you mentioned that.
Yeah. Well, I think that, look, I'm a big believer in second chances. I'm a believer in any chances, really. This is the thing. People wonder why the same thing happens, right? The first time something happens, it's an incident. The second time that it happens, we call it a coincidence, but it's not. It happened a second time so you can fix your shit. It happened a third time, right? Like, what do you call the third time? You can't, right? The reason why something keeps coming up for people is because they're not addressing it. And they're not addressing the root problem. So the first time that it happened to me, I was like such a terrible person. And the second time that happened to me, I'm like, I can't be that person. I can't be angry at the world for what's going on for me.
Right.
And so then it led me to understand that after every surgery, I can change, I can grow, I can actually be better.
Mm-hmm.
And I can build even if it's just one little bit better in my resilience, my fortitude, my whatever, to be better. And I think that, it's great to have routines, right? Routines and habits and systems are great.
Yes.
I think that some people get so caught up in that routine that they then find complacency.
Yeah.
So know the difference between what's your routine that you do need to stick with, that's helpful for you, that helps you create that like you being prepared, and also helps you understand like what to expect.
Yeah.
But also be willing to be adaptable.
Yeah.
Create adaptability. That's where most people are missing adaptability in their life.
Yes, I agree. And I also think I wanted to go back and mention that, like, Snež wasn't looking outside of herself to fix something. It wasn't somebody else's fault. It wasn't something else. And I think a lot of people get caught up in like, oh, my life's like this and this is happening to me and oh, poor me, the victim mentality. And I think this is a true testament. You guys see, like, she pulled herself out of where she was at. Everybody has to, everyone you see who's successful and succeeding and has the body that you want, has the relationship you want, they have done so much work on themselves. They have not accepted their bullshit. That's why I say suffocate your bullshit, because we're filled with it, up to here with it. And you have to drain yourself of it and realize only I can change what's happening here in my life. No one else is going to do it for you.
No. And you probably don't even realize that you're in it because you're so like unconscious to that concept that's going on.
Yeah.
That like if someone's listening to this right now and they're thinking, that might be me. It is you. If you think it might be you, it's you.
100%.
But own it and be like, do you want to stay that way? Like, that's the reality. Do you want to stay that way? Does it hurt bad enough for you to change?
Yeah.
And what change is required? Like get yourself out of like that shithole that you're in.
Yes.
By making a move, right? Like, I'm all about making a move. Just make whatever move you need to.
I think if you even just have like, if your mindset is the willingness, like, even you guys can look at it as like, well, Snež sent me a message. She saved me from the dark hole I was in. But no, I every day was like, I don't want to feel like this. What's the next move? What help do I need? Who is going to, who can help me get to the next level? Or like, what can I do? Mm-hmm. And by just being willing and like totally responsible for where you're at. Okay, I know this is where I'm at. Like, how can I get out of it? And opening yourself up that way, the right person or the right thing will come in and give you the answer you're looking for. I say this a lot. People pray a lot. They're like, yeah. And then God will literally put the answer in front of you. Like, Snež texting me that morning was the answer I was looking for. And I could have either been like, that's going to be hard working with Snež, or, oh no, maybe it's too expensive for anyone who doesn't want to spend it. Or you could say, this is literally the answer I've been needing. And then you take the jump. But at the end of the day, you're doing all of it.
Yeah, like, this is one of the things that I forgot the name of this guy. He says, he goes, you've got to be careful what you want. You've got to be careful what you wish for, because you will get it, positive and negative.
Yeah.
If you want change, if you don't like where you're at,
mm-hmm.
right? If you don't like where you're at, more of it will come up. to try to change you. And if you keep resisting,
Yeah.
if you keep resisting that change, more of it will happen. If you really want change, something will present, like the universe, whatever your higher power is, your ultimate source will say, you've asked for this. Don't be afraid, and don't be so like surprised that when you get it. And you know how you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I met you. I'm like, what do you mean you can't believe you met me? You asked for me.
100%.
Like, believe it. It's, you know, it's like that whole, like, it's so crazy it happens. I'm like, is it though? Is it really that crazy that it happened? Or was it really that it was going to happen? You just didn't see it coming.
Right.
You just didn't see
awareness.
it.
Yeah. And also when you ask for growth and when you ask for change, you guys, that shit fucking sucks. Mm-hmm. It just sucks. Like, I've been working with Snež 7 months, and it was like this crazy transformation I was going through. She was part of like helping me get to the next level, but that whole time it was so uncomfortable. And just know that when you feel like that, like, lean into it and keep opening yourself up for answers, and fucking jump when they present themselves.
Yeah. I think that's where, you know, don't back down. Like, it's meant to happen. You know, it's really kind of stupid, but like the whole, like, everything happens for a reason. Like, it's the truest thing.
It's the truest thing. And all my women, because obviously you guys are all women watching me, I'm sure, and men too, but women, we have this beautiful gift called intuition. Mm-hmm. And most women that reach out to me, you reach out to me because your intuition said so. Then what happens is you let your head get in the way, and you don't want to do that. I think a beautiful thing about people who are successful, like Snež, is you literally are led by your intuition. Oh, my business, I'm figuring it all out by myself. And then you're like, oh, I should get a mentor, or a mentor presents itself. That's the intuition leading. And then you follow it with action and go, okay, cool, I'm going to do that.
Yeah, let me help with that, right? So if you guys are ever aware, you've got 3 types. You're either a head type, a heart type, or a belly type. You're one or the other. So when shit goes wrong or shit happens, like, you either overthink it, you get constricted in your chest, or you feel like your stomach's going to drop, right? So when she's talking about intuition is like your gut kind of saying, something's there, something's there. The next thing that will turn on is your automatic type. In other words, your head will either spiral, you'll overthink, you'll either talk yourself out of it, or you'll talk yourself into it. Your chest will be like, I'm going where my heart's following. Like, my heart's telling me to go there, I'm going to go there, right? Your heart will do that. Or people with the gut, I'm a gut type. I'm like, damn, if I don't do something about this right now, I'm going to feel sick. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So whenever you hear that intuition, answer it with whatever type you are. Answer it though. And the type that you are, don't be like, my heart's pulled, but I'm not going to go. Don't be that person, right? Or don't be the person that's like, I'm going to talk myself out of it mentally, because that's just dumb. Yeah. And then if you're a belly person and you're like, I just constantly feel sick, you can save yourself.
Yes. And you guys, there is a very real, like, evil energy on this planet. Y'all have to be aware of that. Mm-hmm. And that evil energy is trying to survive too. And that's the energy you feel. And when you start getting in your head and it's talking you out of it, because that evil energy wants you to stay where you're at. It wants you to fucking die. So you have 2 choices in the moment. And you know what those are. You always know. Yeah. And then the more you go with it, you're like, okay, I know I'm scared, but I'm doing it anyway. The easier it gets, and the better you get, and the easier life gets. People are like, that's so hard. How do you work out every day and like count your macros and weigh your food, and like, it's so restrictive how you eat. But what's on the other side of that is like, I'm so healthy. I have so much energy. I sleep amazing. I'm happy. I have things. I can help other people. So I'll do the hard every day so I can have a nice life.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and Snež is bougie. I fucking love her. She's always got like her nice essentials on. She's got this awesome like Bronco. Her house is awesome. Like, and that just comes with all the hard work that you do every day.
Yeah. I think that people also don't understand what hard is. Hard is when you have to hold crutches, right? Not have the ability to walk properly and work for 14 hours a day. That's hard, right? Or if I use someone else as an example, hard is, and this is honestly something that I heard that happened to one of my clients, which is really difficult. Hard is when you're a firefighter and no one accepts you because you're a female, so they put raw chicken in your pillowcases while you're sleeping. That's hard, right? Or a mother that loses their child in their belly. That's hard, right? Don't say that going to the gym is hard.
Oh,
like it's not
so
hard.
true.
Right? It's not hard. I have seen what hard is. I've seen people that have had to figure out a way to get out of an abusive relationship. I've seen people who have had serious trauma that has come up for them in multiple different ways. That is hard.
Yeah.
So you know what? You're probably not aware of it, right? You're probably not fully kind of like understanding. But think about some of these stories or even some of the instances that people around you have experienced that you're just probably thinking, whoa, if that was me, I would crumble, right? Like there is a hard and there is a challenge. Challenge yourself. Challenge yourself. Yes, it's a challenge, right? It is a challenge to eat right. I'm not going to lie, because everyone wants the donuts. Everybody wants the shit. Everyone wants it. I even want it. We want it. It's not like we're like, oh no, I want
Ew,
an apple.
I hate donuts and pizza. Gross.
No, see, like everyone wants it. It's about wanting something else more.
Yeah.
So that's a challenge, and that's where you can grow in your discipline, in your self-control. We like just say no to that so that you can say yes to you. That's a challenge. What's hard is going to be more like the conversations that you need to have with people to help them understand, to get them on your side, the support, how it's going to, affect your family or your lifestyle. Maybe that's a bit hard because you have to kind of like really kind of like step it up a bit.
Yeah.
But come on.
You get to eat that food. You get to go to the gym and move every single limb. Like you get to do that. There are plenty of people who don't.
Yeah.
Who are bedridden and whatever, eat mush 3-4 times a day.
And I will say that I just in our journey and how I've seen you really come out of like the place that you are in. And this is why she can help so many people. And like, this is why I think you're so good at helping people, mothers in particular, obviously. But, you're like the mother that many women don't understand that they could be. Like you kind of represent this idea that you can actually take you first. Yeah. And you can actually be like this stronghold, self-sufficient, but you don't have to be because you obviously have Noah. But like you are self-sufficient, you're independent, you're strong, you're all of these things, knowing that you have this alpha in you, but you can also be the beta. You can be both.
Yeah.
And I think that more women need to understand that you can be both. You don't need someone to make decisions for you, but you can have them if they need to. You can do that. And I think that if you guys don't work with Claude, one, you should, but two, you have to understand that what she's representing is the idea of what you want to be.
Yeah. And
you can be it because she's it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The possibility of what your life can actually look like.
It really is.
Despite what we've been taught or despite what society thinks it should look like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thank you, Snež.
Yeah. You're welcome. She's grown a lot. You really come a long way.
I have.
Now she's teaching me some shit. It's cool. Like I'm like, damn, like she's taught me some, like over the last couple of weeks, I feel like I've learned like a lot of little things here and there. And I'm like, that's really cool. Like, because sometimes when two strong females are together, right, their strength multiplies.
Mm-hmm.
So what's great about this is I sometimes remind you to soften, and then you're like, she reminds me to soften. I'm like, damn it, we're both going to become marshmallows.
We are, but we're still going to show up and do the hard things. But I think it is a nice moment to like really point out that it is okay as women to soften. And if you are a mom who just is hard and is going all the time and holds everything together, like we're not meant to do all that.
Yeah. It really is. And I was speaking to one of my mums the other day and she's like, I don't want to cry. I was like, but why? Just cry. Just cry. Go. Let it out. Just cry and tell me. And then once you're finished crying, tell me why you're crying.
You know what happens when you don't let that out? I'll tell you. You build up some weird autoimmune disease. something, I'm not putting that out for you, but we are meant to flow. Women are flowy. We flow. We're intuitive. And like for the longest time, I was like, I'm not that. I'm solid. I am a man. Okay. Enough of that. That will build up in your body and come out in ways you don't want it to. So soften, but do the hard things. We're just learning every day.
Yeah.
Snež, is there anything else that you would like to leave my audience with?
I think that the best thing that I can tell them is, there's a redemptive power that making a choice has. When you just decide that you want a better life, that you want to be a better, whatever you are, mother, person, wife, whatever. When you make that choice, you're truly making a choice to change the trajectory of your life and break free of the chains that have been holding you back. So if you can, look at yourself, take a really, really deep level look at yourself and decide who you're going to be, what you're going to be, what it's going to look like. Make that choice.
Yep. And decide. Decide is definitive. Decide isn't like, I'm going to try.
Yeah.
Do it. And all of you are capable of doing that.
And also, indecision is a decision.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love that. Indecision is a decision. You guys, thank you so much. Snež, thank you for spending this hour with me and sharing your story. I'm going to link all of the things below. Also, if you like our hoodies, they're from Fuel Hunt. I'll link them below and our codes so you can get a discount. What else? Like this video. If you enjoyed the video, share it with your people. Hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you on the next one, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.